you may be married. You may not be overly happy in that marriage, but you don't feel it is the right thing to break away, and you don't feel you have anybody around you to support you. Well, as from today, there's going to be a change in the law, whether you have a justified reason or not. You no longer require one when filing for a divorce.
Yeah, before this, you had to file for divorce on one of 5 grounds, but now you don't have to get it justified, and you can disagree with your partner over this. To explain more about so-called quickie divorce, here is Emma Gill. She's a lawyer at Vardags, and a very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Do you think the word quickie divorce makes it sound a little bit like it's cheapening marriage? In many ways, this is to be welcomed, isn't it? Because for so many, people have stayed in marriages that are broken because it's just been too difficult to get out of.
Absolutely. Did you see me wrinkle when you said quickie? There's nothing quick about it. There's actually a built-in 26-week cooling-off period to the new divorce regime.
Half a year.
Half a year. But what that gives you time to do is sort out your finances, deal with the arrangements for your children. There's nothing quick about it. The big difference is that first piece of paper that you've got to lodge at the court to get things going doesn't have to be littered with the debris of your relationship. You can literally tick a box to say it's broken down.
Yeah, and do we both have to feel that, or one?
You can file an individual petition now, but what's really good, Eamon, is the fact that you can now lodge a joint petition. So a couple who've grown apart, perhaps they've been together 20+ years, children have gone off to university, they've looked at each other and realised it's not the person that they married, but they want to act in a dignified way, can actually do this jointly.
But Emma, why now? Why is this happening now?
So there was a huge case about 4 years ago. Teenie Owens, it was all over the news, and this lovely lady was trapped in a marriage to her husband because a judge had adjudicated that he didn't think the husband had acted unreasonably. So she was stuck, and she was stuck for 5 years in this relationship. And the public, there was a real groundswell of opinion that, you know, people were horrified that you could stay stuck in a marriage to somebody, and that a judge who had nothing to do with your relationship, didn't know what had happened, could say what was reasonable or not. The Conservatives thought that it was a great idea, and for the first time ever, it was actually part of the Labour manifesto. So that really gave the energy to push it through Parliament.
Does it actually make it cheaper to divorce? I mean, does it have an impact? Does it mean that you can have less acrimonious divorces in any way?
One hopes so. And the fact that you don't need to drag up all the remnants of your relationship right at the very beginning certainly sets people off on the right foot. But where acrimony arises is where you've got discussions about finances or discussions about children. And that doesn't change just because the divorce law's changed.
So that doesn't change. So there's no danger of this new change in the law adversely affecting one party or the other?
Absolutely not. If anything, it actually puts both more on an even footing.
What about those people who'll be watching this, and there will be people watching this, thinking that this cheapens, this undermines marriage, that children are perhaps going to suffer as a result of this, that many people stay together perhaps
for the children?
Well, because it's hard to divorce, but that benefits the kids. Do you buy that argument? Not at all. What lawyers like me have done for years and years is found a workaround around the existing law, and it's only where you had a particularly intransigent person like Mr. Owens in that very famous case that you actually ended up in a defended situation. So I don't think this will increase divorce rates, albeit I've had clients talking to me for 18 months waiting for this to come in so that they can actually separate in a dignified way.
When you say come in, does this only come in England and Wales, or...?
It's England and Wales today.
Right. What are divorce stats now? What percentage of marriages actually stay the course till death us do part these days?
It's about 50-50, and if it was much less, I suppose I'd be in a different career.
Yeah, good for lawyers.
To people who, may be watching us or listening to us this morning, and they're not happy in their relationship, and they haven't been happy for a long time. Some people just have no idea where they begin, not necessarily making things official, but is there anywhere you can go to seek advice and say, what would my standing be? What is the consequence of this? Who can they speak to?
It's always worthwhile having a short appointment with a qualified professional and not somebody who, you know, does a little bit of everything, but somebody who just does family law. And that little bit of information can be so helpful. I've had clients who I've talked to for maybe 2 or 3 years before they've decided to press the button, and suggested counselling to their ex, or actually just writing a letter from a solicitor to show that you're serious.
Say you don't have any money.
Citizens Advice Bureau is very good, and also there's a lot of solicitors who will offer a free first appointment.
And do you get feedback? I don't suppose you do necessarily, but, you know, is there sort of buyer's remorse? Do you get many people who regret divorcing?
I've never in 20 years had anybody say they regretted it. In fact, I still am in touch with a whole host of clients who regularly say, thank you, it was the best decision I ever made.
So don't you worry about it. Emma, lovely talking to you. Thanks for making it. That all sounds so simple and explaining it to people. Emma Gill is a divorce lawyer from the company Vardags.
Yeah, let us know if you're at home and you're going to be taking advantage of this change in the rules, and if you've been put off by the rules before. As we've been saying, it's this whole issue of not having to submit a joint submission for divorce. You can do it on your own if you want. Were you one of those people? Let us know your thoughts this morning. Well,